One global health threat kills more people every year than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. Hunger. Is there a better global food system on the horizon? I'm Mike Welder in Los Angeles. Let's take it full frame. For many chefs, food is all they think about, even when they're not in the kitchen. But for celebrity chef Cora, thinking about food also means thinking about the 1 in 7 people around the world who do not get enough food to eat on a daily basis. In 2005, she made television history here in the United States by becoming the first and only female Iron Chef on the hit show Iron Chef America. Since then, she's opened several successful restaurants, authored cookbooks, hosted television shows, and developed her own line of cookware. But Chef Cora has also received great recognition for her humanitarian work to end hunger brought on by poverty and natural disasters worldwide. In 2004, she launched Chefs for Humanity and brought the culinary world together to provide disaster relief for the victims of the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. Since then, the nonprofit organization has delivered hunger relief and nutrition education around the world and responded with emergency humanitarian aid in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina and the earthquake in Haiti. Chef Cora, welcome to Full Frame.
So good to be here. Thank you.
So, you know what? There's a lot of people with great ideas, and you know, some people have a million great ideas, but execution's so important. So you have this great idea. How do you get it to the point where in 2004, I've got this great idea, to where we are today talking about the accomplishments that you've made?
Well, it's a lot of work. I mean, I think when you get a call, you know, whether it's instinctual, whether it's, you know, a desire to really help make the world a better place, I think it's overwhelming. It's really to the point where you know that it needs to be done. And I think that when the tsunami hit, I was doing a lot of one-off work with UNICEF, World Food Program, American Red Cross, and you know, a lot of chefs in the culinary industry, folks were coming to me, calling me, what can we do? What can we do to help? And I just realized that there's a huge need in the culinary industry for a go-to organization that fights hunger and does emergency feeding relief. And that's what I was inspired by Doctors Without Borders to create an emergency feeding relief organization, and that's really the first thought that I had in my head, was to help in crisis. But then it just expanded, and it was really about not only that, but also helping to end global hunger.
So you start picking off some chefs along the way. So who'd you recruit?
You know, I went to all of my Food Network colleagues, and we got an incredible response. I mean, you know, everyone from all the Iron Chefs, you know, Bobby and Mario, Rachel, Guy, all of the Giada, all of my colleagues that really were interested in helping in some way. You know, whether it was something that I was raising money, hey, match my donation, or put it out there, put the word out that we're starting this organization, and they did that. And then when Katrina hit in Louisiana and Mississippi, we mobilized several chefs, Ming Tsai, Tyler Florence, a lot of the executives at Food Network, and a lot of the local chefs to come and help us on the Gulfport, Mississippi, to really, start a emergency feeding relief, really feeding 3,000 to 5,000 people a day, whether it was law enforcement, people in the shelters, people that were displaced, and really people rose to the occasion.
You know, it's one thing to see images on television and say, I've got to do something, and then you get involved. But then I think there's got to be another trigger involved when it comes to Katrina, because that's home for you. I mean, and to see those images, it's one thing when there's distance. You can put that distance there. But these are your people, in a sense. I mean, you
Right.
grew up in Mississippi. So talk to me about, the feelings that were going through you, and that drive to get there and do something.
Well, the drive was huge, and a lot of attention was focused on Louisiana, and Mississippi was, which was actually in the eye of the storm. Everybody, obviously suffered, but Mississippi wasn't getting as much attention, and so I felt like that was really where I needed to be. It is my home state. I knew a lot of people there. I had a lot of connections there, and it was very emotional. in a lot of ways. I couldn't even recognize the Gulf Coast, and I'd grown up there. I couldn't recognize any milestone, I mean, any markers, any landmarks. It was completely devastated. And so, again, so many people, hundreds of thousands of people displaced in shelters. And so we really, it was something that I felt strongly about.
You know, you said completely devastated, and I don't want to say completely ignored, but there was that element of it, because I remember going to Oxford, Mississippi, and people saying, look, you know, we got hammered, and everyone was focused on New Orleans, not to take anything away from New Orleans. But it was hurtful in a sense that, you know, hey, we're going through all this stuff and everybody's kind of forgotten about us. So from that sense, I imagine it made you feel even better that you were there. Absolutely.
Well, the American Red Cross called us directly, and we were not even a year old yet. My charity, Chefs for Humanity, wasn't even a year old. We were still building the infrastructure, but I felt strongly enough that I could rally enough people, mobilize people to the Gulf Coast. We were working directly with the law enforcement there that were fantastic. They got us in, they got people in because they knew they needed help. I mean, there was really a big lack of organization and people, just people there to cook. I mean, we got the call and we were talking to dispatchers, people who had never cooked for more than 4 people in their lives were having to cook for thousands of people, and they were in tears when we arrived. So we really were able to get there. There were literally, because of the abundance that was on the Gulf Coast of restaurants, casinos, there was a ton of food, literally. There were tons of food that restaurants were bringing to these tractor-trailer trucks. And these people didn't know, they really didn't know what to do with it. And so when we arrived, it really was, I realized then there is a need for organization.
The poverty, the hunger, it's seeing the reality of that. What does that do when you see that sort of thing on a daily basis? I mean, we all live in this country of abundance.
Sure.
You're doing great, I'm doing great, but it really does kind of make you think differently, doesn't it?
It does. It changes your whole outlook on your life, how you live day to day, how you feed your family, how you teach your kids. And it really is, it's taught me so much compassion and empathy. And then I try to pass that down to my children and pass the word on, you know, of, I think one of the things that people can do day to day is really get up to speed on the facts of hunger around the world. And in the U.S. as well. I think we have a misconception that we don't have hungry people in the U.S., and we do have an epic of hunger and undernourishment in this country. So I think we know that's a fact in developing countries. There's over 1 billion people hungry in this world. And I think getting up to speed on the facts of hunger and then putting that message out there is one way that people can help day to day. And I think for me, it changed my life the first time I went to Haiti, when I went to help at Katrina, when I've been to Ethiopia, to Nicaragua, to Honduras, and all of these areas working with the World Food Program and the International Red Cross. I mean, it just is life-changing and life-altering.
Tell us about Haiti. We've talked a little bit about Katrina, but that was another, I mean, the immense quality of that catastrophe. What was it like?
It was immense, like you said. It was enormous, the tragedy there. And I went with a group of delegates and you know, people that were really kind of movers and shakers in the world of disaster relief and hunger, and to see what we could do, what kind of assess the situation. It was about a month after the earthquake had hit Haiti, and there was still just incredible devastation there. And you know, again, it was like nothing I'd ever seen in my life. It was literally like Armageddon had come. And to see the tent cities set up, and these just hundreds of thousands of people that were displaced in these tent cities and had no electricity, no running water, no food. But to work also, on the flip side of that, to work with the World Food Program, delivering food and making sure these people, especially the most vulnerable, and at that point everybody was vulnerable. There was not one person in Haiti that wasn't vulnerable. But to help the most vulnerable, the poor, the women, the children, the families as a whole unit, was also, it was devastating to see. It was super, super emotional for everybody. I don't think there was a dry eye with the camera crew, with everybody we were with you know, all the people that had even people who had seen other been in other situations around the world. So for us to be able to go there, to really assess the situation, and then to make a change and create a program has been just incredible.
Talk about that. Come up with a program, make a change. Tell us what you did.
Well, we decided that one of our focuses was going to be on clean stoves. It was a safe stove program that we began in the schools around Haiti. And basically those stoves, there's a situation in Haiti where there's a big issue with deforestation there. Because mainly one of the main incomes in Haiti is charcoal. Is making charcoal. And so what we wanted to do was somehow be able to feed, the thousands of school children that needed to be fed, and also surrounding neighborhoods. So you didn't have to just be in school to be fed. If we were cooking a meal, you could come and have a meal. But one thing that we were able to create were these briquettes out of just paper and waste and things like that, just materials that are slow burning, create these stoves that reduce the carbon that's put out in the air. A lot of folks are cooking indoors in small spaces with their families, and there's a high rate of death because of that as well in developing countries. And there were thousands of kids that needed to be fed, and school children and families. And so we began that Safe Stove program, and it's been a huge success in Haiti. And so we're really happy about that.
It's kind of a twofer, you're helping, and then you're also helping the environment, which has got to be an even better feeling.
Well, we're helping the people, live longer, live more abundant lives. We're feeding people. We're, again, helping the environment, as you said. And, there's most of the wood that's forged in Haiti and other developing countries is forged by women and children. So they're very vulnerable to assault. And so we were able to cut that down as well.
Is there, on your pathway through all of this, you've seen all this devastation and carnage and people suffering. Is there one person or one story that really resonates, that fuels you as you move along and continues to drive you? Is there somebody you met in Haiti or perhaps in Mississippi where you know that you made a difference?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think, one of the saddest things that I've ever seen in my life is when I was in Haiti and these folks in the tent cities they had to eat dry mud cakes to sustain themselves and to live. And I think that's probably one of the most, that haunts me to this day, and it drives me as well. And it's one of the most devastating things and tragic things I've ever seen is little children having to eat that, and it just breaks my heart. So that definitely fuels me. That definitely drives me, and makes me get up every day and work towards giving back in some way.
And you said all of us can make a difference. If somebody's watching this and they say, "Hey, I want to join the team," what would you suggest they do?
Well, I think there's several things that you can do. They can come to my website, catcora.com. We have a phenomenal webpage on Chefs for Humanity, and join. Send us a message. Donate financially. That's always, I think, 4 things that I can just rattle off really quickly day to day is to donate to charities. Pick a charity, donate financially, even if it's $1. I mean, any amount. I think try to influence public policy, because we do all have a voice. We are the public, and we need to reach out and in some way put our voices out there for public policy on hunger. I think go volunteer in your community, for the poor, for the hungry, go to a soup kitchen, go to a shelter, volunteer in some way. And I think it's really, social media is so powerful, and we're all on it in some way, shape, or form, is really, as I said before, get up to speed on the facts of hunger, and then tweet that out to your friends, put it on Facebook, put a message out there, and keep the message going, because we've got to continue to create awareness and know the facts about hunger, because I think that's what's eye-opening. That's what's going to motivate each person to go out and make a change.
All right, Chef, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks so much.
It's been a
Great.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up, we'll take a look at the global food bank system and the efforts that are being made to give families consistent access to healthy and nutritious food.